What's up guys, PCBloodMaster here. Now, just yesterday we did the draft for the Generation Showdown League, and we have finished. Everyone has their Pokemon, and this video is going to be the announcements of my picks for the draft for those of you who were not there at the Twitch stream when we did it, and for those of you who were, I cannot thank you enough. I'm sure the rest of the generations could not thank you enough. We were all very excited to see even anybody there to begin with. It was great. We want to thank everyone who was there for the entire thing and who were a part of the chat, part of the conversation. For those of you who were there and left, it's understandable. It was a long draft. It was about 3 hours long, so it was pretty late for a lot of people. But either way, I am making this video to announce my picks for the draft in order, starting with OU, then going to UU, then going to RU, and then finally to NU. So this is going to be the beginning of the announcements. So we're going to start with our first pick. So my first pick for the OU draft was Mega Gallade. So yeah, Mega Gallade is the mascot of the team, so people were not surprised by it. But I was the very first pick of the draft, being the OU. So I went for Mega Gallade, and I know for sure that Mega Gallade was seen as a threat to the rest of the coaches. They were all kind of afraid of it at first. So it is going to be a major powerhouse for our team. He is definitely going to be able to do a lot of work and be able to do it fast. Not really, honestly, there's not much like that the other coaches pick that really scare me when it comes to having Gallade. Like, there weren't many things that they had to counter it, because the psychic fighting like combo does definitely give him a good advantage against most things like ghost or at least dark types. Ghost types are still a little iffy, but Mega Gallade could definitely still do some work against a ghost type and do it fast enough to prevent any big damage on him. So he was definitely my first pick. I definitely knew that I would need him for the team. And even with the fear of things such as flying or ghost types, I definitely did know that I had other Pokemon that I was going to pick that would definitely help us out with that. And one of those was actually our number 2 pick. So my second pick for the OU was Ferrothorn. So when I originally was making the team, I knew that I needed somebody who could set up spikes, also do a good bit of damage, be able to deal some damage to the opponent. So I went with Ferrothorn. He can definitely set up some spikes and other hazards if need be, and I have nothing to worry about with that. I can set up hazards, I can set up things like Leech Seed or whatever I want. I can even do good damage against it, or against any Pokemon that anybody else brings out, and he can definitely do a bit of stalling if I do it right, and if I play my cards just right. So I definitely knew that once I made the team, he would definitely be added if I get the chance. Though I did have to wait last for the picks for OU for the second round, so I was afraid he may have been taken. Luckily he wasn't. Unfortunately, there were some things that were taken that round that could have been a decent threat to my team, but luckily the rest of my team I feel can do a decent amount, and I won't have anything to worry about. So now we are going to go with OU pick number 3, the final OU choice. Now the final pick for OU, I went with Bisharp. Now Bisharp is great for synergy along with Mega Gallade. It can deal with the ghost type weakness that he has. It can also deal with flying types because he can resist them. He can also hit decent, so I don't really have much to worry about. My only thing right now at this point in the draft was my thought that I had a decent weakness to fire types. I had 2 steel types now. I also had the steel grass type with Ferrothorn. Bisharp was a steel type, but also a dark type, so I also still had a bit of a threat with fighting types. So so I knew that I would need something that could help out with fighting types and as well with fire types, because they were basically the thing I was afraid of the most right now. I didn't really have any issue with ice type because I know that, or not ice type, ground type, because I knew that I could have ice type moves on like Mega Gallade, so I knew that if I needed to, I could deal with ground types, no problem, as of right now. But either way, Bisharp was definitely a good pick to me because he could help out with Mega Gallade. He can also work pretty well with the team, I believe, at least. So I don't really have any worries, but that is the end of the OU, and then we go into the beginning of the UU. Now with OU done and UU just starting up, I went for the first Pokemon that I could think of, and I was hoping that he could help another fighting type, and of course a good help for my issue with fire types was Infernape. So people also weren't surprised about me picking Infernape, with Monferno being my mascot for my overall channel. But Infernape can definitely do some good work in the on the field, so he can also help out with the fire types, because if I do have Ferrothorn out or Bisharp out, then I can go into Infernape and take a fire type move and then also still be able to deal damage back with something like close combat or anything else I need. I can definitely put some good strategies into Infernape. He can definitely help out, and also having another fighting type can help in case something happens to Gallade. Now at this point, the only thing I'm still afraid of is to an extent ground type moves from Pokemon that aren't ground types, such as Mega Venusaur, which one of the other coaches did get. I'm not going to say who, because they will probably have a video like this one out at some point, or they probably already do. But I did start to try to come up with something to deal with that Mega Venusaur, which was the only thing that really I saw as a threat at this point. To be 100% honest, I didn't really fear any of the other Pokemon chosen at this point as much as I did Mega Venusaur, because I knew I could probably counter any of them rather easily. But with the end of that, I did go into my second UU pick. So for the second pick of the UU, I went with Porygon 2. Now, I picked Porygon 2, and it seemed like at this point in the UU draft, 3 evolutions had been taken already. Vaporeon, Umbreon, and Sylveon were all taken right in this round. Now, I was kind of afraid because I did want Umbreon as a backup, but then I also didn't, because I already had a Dark type, and I knew that I didn't want to have too many of the same types going. I already had 2 Steel types, and I already had 2 fighting types, so I didn't want 2 Dark types as well, because then I could have started getting into a point where a small amount of types could easily wreck my team. Now, yes, I do have another weakness to fighting, which can be scary, but Porygon 2 can definitely do some work with moves like Psychic, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, all of that. He can have the Eviolite to be a little bit more bulky. He can definitely be really helpful to the team. And I did kind of bring him, I did draft him in hopes that he could help out with the Mega Venusaur, which still was kind of the only thing I really saw as a threat, because I feel like I can deal with any of the other Pokemon that had been drafted at this point. So I felt like I didn't really have much to worry about, and anything else I might have been worrying about would be dealt with later on. One of the things I was worried about, though, was the fact that I didn't have any water types, which I felt like maybe something I should definitely have, which is why I did go with the third and final pick for UU. My final pick for UU was Swampert. So I picked this Swampert. All the other coaches, they all were surprised at this pick. They did not expect Swampert to be taken. They weren't expecting really him to see the light really much, but I did end up going with him. I felt like he was bulky enough to be able to take hits from things that may be a threat to the team, such as other water types or anything else. Yes, that did leave us up for grass types, but I still did have Infernape just in case. and I would have a few other picks later on that could help us with that. But Swampert can be bulky, and he can also still hit hard, so I felt like he would be a decent choice for some kind of small stalling if need be, or being able to deal damage while also being able to take hits without any real issues. But with that, that was the end of the UU choices, and next we go into RU. With my first RU pick, I went with Jolteon. Now, like I said, 3 evolutions had already been chosen at this point in the draft, and I knew that an evolution wouldn't be too bad because it would definitely help us out. Most of the evolutions are pretty fast, so they are able to also be able to deal damage quick, save for Umbreon, who is more of a staller if need be. But either way, I went with Jolteon because I knew Jolteon was fast and could hopefully outspeed some Pokemon if need be, and he could also still hit moves. And I also thought at this point I had picked that Swampert, and I knew that I could set up some rain dances if need be and be able to do power, like add more power to my water type moves with Swampert. Then I also thought have a big red button kind of move being Thunder on Jolteon if I needed to. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do that. It was a thought in my head for sure, because Jolteon being fast enough to outspeed Pokemon if needed, as well as being able to deal damage with a Thunder, would definitely be very helpful to the team and most of the Pokemon that were already drafted at this point. He also can have some pretty good abilities that I would definitely make use of for sure. He can also help out with any issues with electric types, like being able to kind of go in to take one if I don't have Swampert already. But yeah, so that was the end of the first RU pick, and then we go into RU pick number 2. For my second pick for RU, I went with Rotom Mo, which is the grass type Rotom. At this point, I believe 1 Rotom had already been picked. I think only 2 Rotoms were picked, being mine and then Rotom Heat, who was picked by one of the other coaches. Again, I'm not going to say who, but I knew that I needed another grass type if I needed it. He also is another electric type, which is helpful. Rotom Mo I knew could be diverse enough for taking on water types, which I could be afraid of, such as most of the ones that were... Not many were picked before this. Like, there were only, I think, 2 water types picked beforehand, before I had gotten to Rotom Mo, but there were definitely water types that were set up later on. So I knew that they could be a threat, and I knew that Rotom Mo could probably easily kind of help take them out if I needed it. So with that, we did end the second round of RU, and we go into RU round 3. With the final round of RU, I went with Pikimiku, which did kind of surprise people. That was the only Gen 7 Pokemon I did pick. I picked him because I knew that that thing can definitely take hits. It has great defense. Its HP isn't the best, but it can definitely take hits with that good defense. And it can also do some decent damage. It can also stall out if need be. I could run like leftovers and toxic on it if I needed to, or really anything like recover or whatever. So he can definitely be able to wear down most of the other Pokemon that are out at the time. He can take hits, like I said, so I can be able to like stall it out if I needed to. I think he would definitely be a lot of help against like most of the Pokemon that had been chosen at this point. I didn't really have any worries about anybody being able to easily take out this Pokemon, but I definitely thought that he would be very helpful to the team. And with that, we did go into the end of RU and the beginning of NU. With my first pick of NU, I went with Garbodur. So I knew Garbodur could be a good poison type if against fairy types, which had been picked a lot at this point, along with other grass types that aren't like part poison. So I could deal with things like pure grass types or like a Sceptile or Pokemon that are part grass, such as Cradily, which had both been drafted at this point, and I thought a poison type wouldn't hurt against these two, so I thought Garbodur, and I also have um, used a weird strategy on Garbodur before that was unexpected, and people were actually rather surprised by it. So I could potentially do that. There are people like most of us know what it is already, but I do think that it could come in handy if need be. But with that poison type, I did feel like I would definitely be good with overall like balances for my typings. And with the end of that, we go into round 2 of NU. With the second round of NU, we drafted the Midnight Gallades, drafted Kangaskhan. Now, Kangaskhan was not a big surprise, but definitely something that wasn't too expected. Kangaskhan without a Mega Stone is never used, which is why it's in NU. Not many people would use it because it's not seen as good as a Mega Kangaskhan, which is why Mega Kangaskhan is where it is in the tiers and so overpowered, and people don't, typically like it being used because it is definitely very overpowered if you were to have like a Mega Stone and Power Up Punch, which is going to keep getting that attack boost and all that, but alone, Kangaskhan is still pretty good Pokemon. It can still do a decent amount, with Scrappy making it able to hit Ghost types with normal type moves, meaning that I can still do priority fake outs if I need to against any Ghost types, which at the time, and throughout the entire draft, I believe only 3 were drafted actually, which was kind of a surprise. I was kind of expecting more Ghost types. I didn't pick one because I didn't think that I would need one. But it was still, I thought Kangaskhan would still definitely be useful. I can definitely get some pretty good movesets on it, and I think I could actually deal with most of what was picked. And with this, we go into the final pick of the entire draft for the Midnight Gallades, the final pick being the last NU Pokemon. The final pick for the Midnight Gallades in the NU was Pidgeot. Now, Pidgeot was a bit of a surprise. People weren't expecting it, but I did pick it because I knew that I needed a Pokemon that could either Rapid Spin or Defog, and at the time I didn't have any that I had chosen. So I knew that Pidgeot would definitely be helpful. It also is helpful because it is fast, and it can hopefully be able to outspeed some of the Pokemon that are out there. I can send it in, I can defog, I can get rid of hazards if need be, so he was definitely a good priority for that. I did need it, I knew I would need it, but I was going to save that pick until the end because I knew that nobody was really probably going to expect a Pidgeot. Nobody was probably going to think to pick it or draft it or at all. Now, I knew that it could be risky if there are rocks set up, because that is definitely going to do a number against Pidgeot, but I knew that no matter what, it would still definitely be useful to the team, so I think it was a pretty good decision on my part. But with that, that is the end of the NU's choices. Now with the end of the draft, that was all of it. That was all the choices. That was the entire team for the Midnight Gallades. We have Mega Gallade, Ferrothorn, Bisharp, Infernape, Porygon 2, Swampert, Jolteon, Rotom, Bikumiku, Garbodur, Kangaskhan, and Pidgeot. Now, I think this is a pretty good team. I don't know how many people would agree with that. It may not look like it's too synergized, but I would say I'd say that I can definitely make it work. I definitely think that they can work off of each other pretty well. I think that they can help each other out if need be. I definitely think that we, as the Midnight Gallades, do stand a chance in this league. Now, I don't know that for sure. For all I know, I could go like 0-6, or I could go 6-0. Who knows? I could win every battle, I could lose every battle, I could win some, I could lose some, I could win most of them and lose a few. It all depends on how I play my cards and how my opponent plays my card or plays their cards. Um, so really, it's all going to come down to, can I outpredict my opponent? Can I catch them off guard? Can I do some good damage before they can do any decent damage to me? It is all down to that. Now, really, I am not too afraid of most of the Pokemon that have been chosen from the other teams. They all do have their threats, that is for sure. I am definitely probably afraid. I'm pretty sure that they would have all chosen at least one Pokemon that I do have my sights on, that I think I should probably try to focus on fighting, because they all do have their own powerhouses, which I do kind of expect. If I'm being honest, I do expect all of us, I will not be surprised if all of us have at least one Pokemon we bring to every single battle no matter what, because it will definitely be a help to us. Now, I know that I'm definitely going to have at least one Pokemon that I probably bring to every fight, which I will try not to, but if I need to, I will, because bringing the same Pokemon over and over gives your opponents a chance each time to be able to predict what it's going to do, and take it out. Now, I think we do stand a chance. I think that if I can play my cards right, we can do pretty good in this league. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win, because I'm going to be 100% honest. I do not expect us to win. But I do think that we can get pretty far in this league if we do it right. Now, that is the end of this video, guys. I just wanted you guys to, for those of you who weren't at the draft, to know what Pokemon I had chosen, what my general idea was, like my thought process for it. So that is going to be it for this video, guys. We will be starting the actual battling soon. I believe we're doing it either next week or the week after. But either way, I hope you guys are ready for this. I hope you guys are excited for this, because I am definitely excited for it. And I'm sure the rest of the coaches are. I'm sure Joe Schmo Gaming, J2 Hitmon Scott, Arsenal Weavile, and Cool Trainer Crow are all very excited for this. I'm sure that we are all very prepared for this, and I think we all are ready to show how good we are at competitive battling, though most of us aren't too experienced with it. We are definitely ready to get into it a little more, and we are definitely ready to help each other out when it comes to just our channels in general and just the enjoyment of the game. We want all of you guys to enjoy it. We want us to enjoy it. We just want everyone to enjoy it. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.